Hey Zerivers, this is SuperZomgbBBQ! Today, it's Titan time. We're going to look at the best and the worst of SuperCard's newest, highest tier, the most powerful tier in SuperCard history. We are going to look at the best and the worst of this tier. Not just males, but females, women as well. We're going to have a look at some of the event cards and the holiday cards as well. But we have got some interesting names to throw in. A lot of legends in this tier at the bottom and at the top, and in the females as well. Plus, we are also going to see a lot of names you probably expected to be up there. But we're going to have a look at a more extended list this time, so you're going to see names you might not have seen in the Beast and Monster tier list. If you haven't seen that yet, the little eye up here has a link to go over to see the Beast and Monster cards, the best and worst of those. Otherwise, sit back, enjoy, like this video if you want to see this more often and sooner. And a huge shout out to the SmackDown Hotel for providing all the stats, all the pictures that you see in this video. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 100,000 subscribers. Support it now by pressing that red button, making sure to turn on your notifications as well. But let's get right into it. Best and worst of Titan tier. Let's go. This is based off of the top power, toughness, speed, charisma, all added up. Whatever that total stat point reaches, this is where these superstars are ranked. And we're going to look at the top 10 best and worst males and the top 5 best and worst women or females, whatever you want to call them. Just don't call them divas. Let's get straight into it. Worst males, top 10. We're going to start off with Pete Dunne and Rusev. Rusev Day. It certainly wasn't in SuperCard when they made these decisions. Jesus. Rusev, one of the top mid-card people on SmackDown Live, I'd say at the moment. The land of opportunity. And Pete Dunne, the UK champion. Pete Dunne is the just a victim of being in NXT and being in the UK Championship. He's not a bad superstar, as everyone could attest to seeing his matches. In fact, if we're looking at realistic ratings, he'd be somewhere near the top. Rusev would be somewhere near the middle stroke top. But Pete Dunne will go up the rankings, I'm sure of it, when he comes onto the main roster, 205 Live, whatever they have planned for him. Hopefully he doesn't just stick to the UK Championship. Rusev, on the other hand, when they probably did the ratings, was a lot lower, so this is not really surprising since the Rusev Day angle. Moving on to number 2, we have one half of the old school American Alpha. I say old school, they only spelled recently. Chad Gable, the man who's not Kurt Angle's illegitimate son, comes in at the 9th worst. And then we go on to Tyler Breeze. Now this one's a strange one because Tyler Breeze is 1 point better than 3 people in 4th place, which is very, very weird. Doing the whole fashion police thing, which I don't mind, but it's got a little bit silly now. Breeze unfortunately doesn't see a lot of ring time. When they do, they're playing jobbers to the Bludgeon Brothers. At number 7 is 3 superstars. As I mentioned, we have the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, and Fandango. This is not a good maneuver because Anderson and Gallows, they are festering towards the bottom part of Titan tier. Fandango is 1 point less than Tyler Breeze. I'm not sure what the message there was, but whatever. Then we move on down to number 6, and this is Ty Dillinger. Perfect 10 hasn't quite made his mark on SmackDown Live and is on off of TV pretty much all the time. I don't know what the overall end goal, but based on his SuperCard tiering, I would imagine it doesn't look good. This is a very, very strange one. I'm not so sure I agree with this one. Big Cass. Enzo Amore is much higher, but that's expected because he's had a massive resurgence on 205 Live. Big Cass, I would have thought would have been mid-tier stroke higher. He had a really good run when he was the new heel. Big Cass, when Enzo was kind of wallowing in the mid-card and being like, oh, you just turned on me kind of thing. Big Cass, I'm surprised he's this low, but I don't make the decisions. Number 4, we have Cedric Alexander. Yes, no one breaks up with him. Cedric Alexander now finding himself, due to some things maybe the Rich Swann may have done recently, around the top of 205 Live, possibly getting his chance at a shot at holding the 205 Live Cruiserweight Championship. And this makes even less sense. This is surely has to be a move after everything that's gone on with WWE, Neville. This guy is a god, and he's what, the third worst in the tier. That's just wow. Don't know who made that decision, but that's a strange one. Second worst in the tier is Goldust. Not really surprising, to be honest with you. Goldust isn't one of the best guys and biggest guys on the roster. He's more of like a comedy mid-card act now, so it's not surprising. Someone had to be last, and it's a shame that it's the Brian Kendrick, but you know, at least he's in Titan tier. Let's just put it that way. So we've got the worst males there, and now we're going to look at some of the worst stats in the tier. And this is the one I like doing, looking at the worst possible stats in the tier. Just looking at how it compares to some of the different numbers. And Brian Kendrick actually comes in there as the worst power. He's got the worst power in the tier by far. And the worst toughness going to Tyler Breeze. That's not a surprise. Worst speed goes to Big Cass, one of the reasons why he's in the bottom 5. And the worst charisma goes to Neville, considering Neville cut some amazing promos. Are they watching WWE back from 2015 or something? I'm struggling to understand. Anyway, moving on to the ladies. Ladies time. It's ladies time. We have got the 5th worst female, and again, this is based not on opinion, this is purely based on stats and the overall stat ratings, is Bayley. You wouldn't have probably expected that, but Bayley is the 5th worst in the tier, moving down to 4th. Unfortunately for Bayley, it's just never worked out. Ember Moon, the current NXT Women's Champion, not surprising because she only won it recently. I imagine in the future updates she'll be much higher. And honestly, it needs to be, because she's a very, very good left arrow. I would make great competition for Alexa Bliss at the top. Moving on down to the 3rd worst in the tier, Nikki Cross. Again, not surprising. NXT effect. Nothing on them, just the fact they're in NXT and not very well known. They're not going to be put at the top unless they are like a household name, such as Bobby Roode, Samoa Joe, etc. Now moving down, and this is again another surprising one. Even though with lack of ring time, the amount of success that she's had, I'm very surprised that she's underneath 2 NXT ladies. And this is Carmella. Carmella is the 2nd worst in Titan tier. That's a little bit strange, but yes, she is unfortunately one of the worst cards in the tier. But in terms of overall stats, but realistically speaking, a Titan female is a Titan female. Any female in this tier is good, because it's so hard to get them. And now we come to the worst one. Now this one I just don't understand. I don't get it. I'm fully aware. I mean, we're talking overall competition here. This one is just, I'm just like, what, did someone just forget like what she's accomplished? Brie Bella is the worst, and this is coming from a game that back when she was active cast Brie Bella as one of the best females in the game. I don't get that. I don't understand it. I wish I did. She's been several event cards. I don't understand. I don't get it. But it's a left arrow, which is always nice to have, especially with so many right arrows on Natalia, Nikki Bella in other tiers, Sasha Banks, etc. And moving on to the worst female stats, and there's some shockers here. Worst power always goes to Bayley, which surprises me. Worst toughness and worst charisma go to Brie Bella, probably one of the reasons why she's so low. And worst speed goes to Nikki Cross. Again, someone's got to have those ratings. I just don't understand them. That makes no sense. I'm going to go for the best, and the best is a list of Hall of Famers and some of the very best in WWE today. First of all, we have got the 5th best. Starting at number 5 is Trish Stratus. Now, she is helped by a massive charisma rating, the highest in the tier for the females, one of the highest in the tier, full stop. Trish Stratus is at number 5. Then you have, and she's a very good left arrow as well, Becky and Natalia then come in at number 4. Not surprising, although I'm slightly surprised Becky Lynch is as high as she is. Number 3 is Charlotte and Lita. Now this, I would have put Lita probably on par with Alexa Bliss. I personally would have put Lita, Trish and Alexa Bliss at the top, but that's just my thoughts. I think this actually means that Lita probably replaces Asuka as probably the most useful card in this tier. She ties with Charlotte. It's nice to see Natalia up there as well as the former women's champion. Charlotte, obviously being the current women's champion, was always going to be slightly above her, even though it's only changed recently. Natalia kind of felt more like a transitional champion. Asuka then comes at number 2, which is to no surprise one of the most useful cards, and Alexa Bliss, despite losing to Asuka, I think in 3 stats, is the top dog in this tier. So Titan tier females, let me know what you thought about those in the comments section below. Let's look at the best female stats. So let's have a quick look at those best female stats. You already know that the best charisma belongs to Trish Stratus. Best speed belongs to Lita. Best toughness and power belongs to the absolutely phenomenal Asuka, who hopefully will be able to continue her winning streak past the Royal Rumble for the first ever Women's Royal Rumble match. Now down to the best Titan males in the tier. Now, obviously, this doesn't include any event cards, because those like the winter cards, the Big E's, AJ Styles, Money in the Bank cards, etc., are obviously going to be better than Gobbledygooker. I can't believe I just said that. The Gobbledygooker is going to be better than any of these cards. Braun Strowman, Saint Mick, they're all going to be better. Hall of Fames, throwbacks. But these are the best of the normal Titans. So we're going to start off at number 10 with a unsurprising, and actually I would have said he should be higher, but it's nice to see him in the top 10. Miz. It is awesome. The Miz has shown up in the top 10. He's got a good set of stats. Unfortunately, he does get beaten to a pulp by quite a few people and has one of the lowest toughness stats available. But his charisma and power does save him, and that extra little bit of speed is really useful as well. In terms of his overall use as a card, there's so many better right arrows and left arrows in the top 10. So yeah. Moving on to number 9. Now this number 9 is a mix of 3 different people, and this includes Randy Orton, Samoa Joe, and Ultimate Warrior. Now, back in Season 3, Samoa Joe is one of the best cards in the tiers. By far, one of the best, because he was the NXT champion at the time, and he had an amazing debut onto the main roster. But he is now with Randy Orton, and the Ultimate Warrior, which all 3 of them are speed cards. In fact, all 3 of them are power and speed cards. Every single one of them is a power and speed card, which is strange. Moving up to number 8, we have Jinder Mahal, and some people are not going to be happy with this because of his legacy. Eddie Guerrero. So basically, SuperCard are trying to tell us that Eddie Guerrero is as good as Jinder Mahal. I mean, come on, Eddie Guerrero needs to be like 3rd or 4th. Guys like only 2nd to Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kurt Angle. And this is something I want to mention. I completely forgot to talk about this earlier on. There's a couple of big omissions in the top 10. I'm going to go out there and say it now. Why is Dusty Rhodes not in the top 10 for Titan? Because he's not. And you've also got for the monster tier Kurt Angle. Why is there no Kurt Angle in Titan tier? Triple H, where's he gone? I know he has Money in the Bank card, but just whatever. Anyway, understandable. Jinder's going to drop down heavily now, though, as he's completely out of the WWE Championship picture. Now moving on to number 7. Now this one, again, is very interesting, and I think it's more based on the overall ability. I personally would have put Sting higher, but Sting and Seth Rollins, who had a pretty decent feud until Sting got basically retired by Seth Rollins, unfortunately. Seth Rollins and Sting come in at number 7. Sting's a very, very useful card, decent power and charisma, and him and the likes of John Cena would be absolutely phenomenal, but obviously he's never going to be able to test up against the likes of The Rock. Stinger comes in with Rollins there. Rollins one of the highest speed cards as well on the tier. Moving on to number 6 though, and again a very similar pattern. Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns come in number 6, but not just them two. They are joined by the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Again, I'm surprised why Michaels is tied into them two. I would have put Michaels towards the top of the tier, but hey ho. Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, you know my thoughts on that already if you've seen the Monster Tier video. I personally feel that Kevin Owens should be way lower and Roman Reigns should be slightly higher. Michaels should be like top 1 or 2. He should be tied for number 1 in my opinion, based on his resume, his history, etc. AJ Styles and Braun Strowman come in again tied together at number 5. Braun being one of the most powerful cards in the tier by far. Moving at number 4, the Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin, stuttering his way to the top of the Titan leaderboard. He is one of the best cards in the game, and he has only just been given out in a ring domination with Mick Foley, which is very surprising for this early stage in the game. He's incredibly useful, good power and toughness stats, but the best thing about him is he's got a little smidgen of charisma as well that beats a lot of lower end cards. He's not great against the likes of, for example, The Rock, John Cena, but he is fantastic against the likes of Brock Lesnar, for example, because he usually beats Brock Lesnar in toughness, speed and charisma in most tiers, and The Undertaker as well. Moving on to number 3, we spoke about The Rock. Well, The Rock shows up at number 3. Again, I would have pushed Rock up beyond the guys in second place, but The Rock is there. He has got a hell of a ton of charisma and power and speed as well. It's typical for Rock in WWE SuperCard and what you would expect to see of him, although I still don't understand why he's got such a low toughness rating. But whatever, we are getting towards number 1 now, and this is where it gets very interesting. Brock Lesnar is taken off of his perch. Brock and Cena at number 2. And this is to be expected. Brock's going to have the most power in the tier, but number 1 could not be given to anyone else given his name was in the tier. I mean, it was pretty much guaranteed from the moment you read that he was going to be in his tier. He was going to be tied or one of the best. And this is because of a horrendously overpowered toughness stat, and that is the Dead Man, The Undertaker. Still so little is known about what's going on with The Undertaker. Is he going to be in the Hall of Fame? Is he going to retire? Is this going to be his last WrestleMania match this year? Or is he already done? No one knows at this point. He has got 2 of the highest power and toughness stats, and this moves us on to the best stats in the tier. Do you agree with that top 10 for the males, the females, and also for the bottom half of the table as well? Best power, you're getting Brock Lesnar. You guys know that already. Toughness, Undertaker. Speed, AJ Styles. And best charisma goes to John Cena. Boom! And that is the end of the best and worst of Titan tier. Now, me personally, I like a lot of the event cards. The event cards really stand out for me. If I was to choose a normal card just based on design, I love the Finn Balor card. I love the Edge card, the Eddie Guerrero card. I actually like the Dolph Ziggler card as well. I'm not a fan of the Fandango and Tyler Breeze images, but that's just my own personal opinion. Even Brian Kendrick, even if he's one of the worst in the tier, he is got a decent image. It looks pretty nice. But that is it from me. If you've got a personal favourite, let me know in the comments section below. If you've got any thoughts about the rankings for Season 4, let us know in the comments section below. Remember that link in the little eye up here to go and check out the Beast and Monster card. Like this video if you want to see this earlier and sooner when the tier's released. I want to say a huge thank you to the SmackDown Hotel for supporting and providing all the images and the rankings in this video. Remember to subscribe to the channel on the road to 100,000 subscribers. Turn your notifications on so you don't miss a single video. I have been SuperZombGBBQ. You have been awesome. One last thing, and that is to Zombie!